This episode of the Future Cities podcast is proudly supported by WSP Opus, creating what matters for future generations. Rowan Dixon, joining me on the podcast.
Kia ora.
How are you?
I'm good.
Do you believe in all that stuff that I was just reading? Creating what matters for future generations. That's deep, isn't it?
It is deep. Yeah. The future's all we've got.
It is.
Yeah. No, it's real, and it's not something you really have a choice about. You know.
That's true, but we act like we do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do.
I wonder why we do that as humans. Do you ever kind of sit down and wonder why is it that we think, we've got this game on lockdown?
I think, like we want to enjoy life. We live in the now, and sometimes we forget to think ahead.
What about looking behind, looking in the past? Where are you on that? Are you big on acknowledging the past? Back to look forward.
Yeah. No, that's it. I think. We've got a lot to learn from, our past. One thing I like to think about is how, our calendar's got the year 2018 on it. But if it was close to being accurate, and if we were thinking about the modern humanity, it'd be something more like 12,018. And that's, that's a nice little place to put yourself. Like, wow, yeah, been around for that long. In the modern, human form. So, that's, it's been 2,000 years of what we, think about as history. But it's only the last 100 that things have really changed.
Time's weird like that, eh? Like, we've only been really, driving for not that long. Before that it was horse riding, and before that you were walking.
Yep.
But that's the thing about living today is, you know what you know, right? And if you're around today, Lime scooters are the thing. They're just out there on a battery-packed, supercharged. Do you think that stuff's dangerous, or?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I think too.
But dangerous is awesome.
Yeah. Not enough people talk about that, eh? That's do you kind of think that you had like one of those childhoods where you embraced danger a little bit, or?
Oh yeah.
Like how?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. A few, boo-boos and scratches.
Even like climbing trees, right?
Yeah.
Seems to be a trend now of don't climb trees.
Renaturing. I mean, that's a phrase I can say and people might recognise it. How weird is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to renature yourself.
What do you put on your boarding pass when you travel? What's your official?
Well, that's funny. I used to put consultant, and then I got lots of questions. So I just put environmental, and they're like, "Oh, you're good." But I'm not kidding.
So environmental consultant?
Yeah. Environmental is a nice. Yeah, that's a good one. What does the environment mean? Yeah, context, I think. Yeah. Well, it's what we are. We are it. Yeah. So I kind of struggle. how to place it. But it is starting from us and from our place. The non-human. And that's what excites me about working at a design centre where design is articulated as coming from that place, in a holistic sense, the human and beyond it. So that's what excites me about being an environmental consultant. The downside is that sometimes it's interpreted as a Resource Management Act or a consent or a discharge, which is all very important stuff, but that's a consequence of a design decision. Yeah.
Do you kind of sometimes ask yourself what little Rowan wanted to be when he grew up, and do you think little Rowan would be stoked with where big Rowan is now?
Little Rowan was a huge fan of Ed Hillary.
Wow.
And Peter Blake, so neither of which I'm emulating. I haven't even got red socks. Look, they're grey. Yuck. So no, I'm a long way from that. But I guess they were both environmentalists. They spent a lot more time in the environment, if you like. Although I don't. Yeah, it's a confusing phrase, but it would be nice to be on Everest. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess, we're all different, right? And we all have to follow a different path, and he climbed that mountain, so we don't have to.
Yeah, and I guess I'm
can climb it. What's the mountain you're climbing at the moment?
So something that really interests me is I've got renaturing on the mind now that I've said it.
Red socks.
Yeah, and red socks, yeah. So is how we reposition ourselves, in our place, and how we look.
So what do you mean by that?
Well, how we, who are we going to be as we go forward, and how do we find our roots, as a humanity, as a global thriving humanity? So that's kind of the challenge I'm embracing at the moment, if you like. And there's lots of technical terms that you can throw at it, like natural capital and things like this, which, you adopt the paradigm of the time and start, within a capitalist paradigm, and start to try value ideas of natural or social capital, quantify this stuff and bring it into something measurable. And we've seen Treasury pick that up, and that's fantastic, using the paradigm we have at the moment. But we can go further than that. So I think that's the mountain I'm climbing. It's changing how we think, and the language we use to make decisions.
Where are you on that mountain?
Oh man, I'm underneath it. Yeah, trying to breathe.
No, we all are, though, right? Like, we're all trying to work out: is the future more time on our phone, less time on our phone, a better balance? Probably a better balance, right? That makes logical sense.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, phones will be around for a while, but they're not even phones anymore. But we call them phones.
True.
You were saying that we'll be full time on air. Within or upon the internet. Like, we are a globally connected humanity, and we're gonna be globally connected as long as we let ourselves be. So we'll always be different. I think we're going to go together as one, or not at all, and we're going to face some really big challenges. Around what globalism looks like. If you talk about climate change or any measure of pollution or all these sorts of things that are going on out there, it's really going to challenge us. But it's awesome that we are a global humanity now. Yeah.
Do you feel like things are getting better?
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means, but you know what I'm saying?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's tricky because we're all connected, so we're all connected to some pretty terrible stories. But there's a lot of great things going on. I'm optimistic.
And what's one thing that is going on that you're stoked with? Because I agree, there's good things going on, but sometimes I think we forget to share what those good things are.
Yeah,
like, we're all really good. Like the news, for example, it's easy to report on something that's not going well because it's immediate. But sometimes good things take time.
Yeah.
And so if we could report, on amazing stuff that's happening in 20 years from now, that's no good for us today, which is, I think, why we go to those kind of clickbaity type story. But what's a good thing happening in your world, or that you're observing?
I think leaders are starting to change how they talk about economy. So what is a healthy economy? And we're starting to speak in longer time frames. Some of us, and I think that's a deep trend that will continue as we stay together. Under the Sustainable Development Goals, and remember that there's an idea of human rights, and that we're all in this together. And those things they're challenged, every day, but they're holding strong. And I think there's definitely strong progress. And I get it. It's exciting to talk about, like, beyond planet Earth and out to Mars and all that sort of stuff. And hey, if we follow this trajectory, then we'll be there. But there's no place like home, and it's a pretty special place. So we need to remember that focus, I think.
Do you think it's strange how humans sometimes don't recognise how important something is until it's gone? It's a weird feature, right? Like, it doesn't seem like we have much inbuilt apart from hunger, that prevents or preventative. Even with health, it's like we know eat good food, go to the gym. But it's like we get confused and we think, I'll just have that chocolate bar and watch Netflix.
Yeah. No, hey, I'm no neuroscientist, although I married a psychologist.
So you are. Well, we're on a podcast. We can be whatever we want. Sure. We're a biological thing. We've got a brain that's got limitations and strengths and all this sort of stuff, and our behaviours are a product of that, and a product of a whole lot of weird things. It's really interesting talking about this, and you pull me back if I'm trying to put you into areas you don't want to talk about. But fascinating to think about, the mind, and you're right. We're not psychologists, and actually we don't have that around us all the time. So we're actually left to just work things out ourselves, And I sometimes wonder if our phone, like when you get like a rash or something and you Google it, it's either nothing or everything. And it seems like that's the internet, and it feels like that's the balance between technology and all of that stuff that we're living in day to day. Like, what does a day look like for you? Are you trying to not just study the most current stuff, but also live better?
Yeah, it's funny, hey? I advise how to change what's normal. So I'm helping just a couple of people or a very large project team. I'm helping them instill sustainable paradigms into how they make decisions from and everything up at high management level. So the conversations that I had around those tables, down through the systems, the management systems and procurement systems, and then all the way down, through design, everything. But then someone will walk up to me with a coffee cup and be like, Can I recycle this? So it's like at all levels. Yeah, I'm yeah, it doesn't change. I'm the garbage man as well. Yeah,
yeah, you're everything. I wonder, because you're thinking about this stuff all the time, if it can get like a bit of a burden on you. Like, do you have to offset it just by understanding human nature and the darkness that potentially we all have in us with the light stuff, right?
Yeah. I think. I think the phone thing, I think it's really important that it is influencing our behaviour, and we talk more and more about isolation now and loneliness, and it does bring out some of those traits. It's a bit like what are those casino machine calls? Pokies. Yeah. You sort of roll it. So it preys on our insecurities. Some of these devices, and it makes us a little bit anxious and all that.
True that.
So a lot of it is, I think, just helping us, just understand each other a little bit more. Just be compassionate, be empathetic, understand that we're all going through these journeys.
But we forget that though, don't we? Like when someone cuts in on the road.
Oh yeah.
You don't think about compassion for them or what's gone on before that moment. We're just thinking like, how dare you?
Yeah, I know, how rude.
Yeah. Is there ways that is there research or ways you've worked out how to be the best in the worst moments?
Oh man, yeah, no, I don't know.
It's hard.
It's hard work. I think that's part of being a global human is it is an effort, and that's we're all these cultures coming together, and we're seeing a lot of fear out there, and we've got to remember we're all cut from the same cloth. So it's it's a project. This is an effort. It doesn't just happen.
It's kind of like humanity is also climbing that Everest, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder where we are.
I don't know.
I guess it depends who you talk to.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're optimistic?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, no, I am.
You don't just have to say that because, we're on the podcast and...
Yeah, no, honestly, I am. Like, it's really easy to get down, and you do get down, like there's very real reason to worry, the work I do in the Pacific, you see it.
Like, what do you mean the Pacific?
The Pacific Islands.
Yeah, I mean, but what's the work you do, sorry?
Climate change adaptation with communities on islands up there. So it's real. Climate change is happening, and plastic pollution's happening, and all their meanings, all their values, their way of life, their worldview is at risk. Yeah, it's pretty scary.
When you say helping them with change, what does that mean? It's something like firstly acknowledging that there's obviously something's happening.
Yeah.
And some strategies around what to do now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Like they're telling you that things are happening. You don't go in and tell them, oh, hey guys, things are happening. They're like, no shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was one of those words.
No, well, I'll fight to keep that in, but we'll see how we go. Because it's a... that's earned, right? Like you're talking about some of the biggest things we're going through in humanity.
Yeah.
And that's a good use of the word.
Yeah, I banter it about a wee bit, but I do. It has a lot of meaning behind it. I don't say Homo sapien. I say humanity. It comes with all the meanings that humans have built through those 12,000 plus years. All the stories we've got, and we've grown apart and we've grown together, and now there's a great big togethering. But we face all these global pressures, and we've got to remember that we're together.
Yeah. Do you think that in these really tough moments, it brings out the best or worst in us?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you have for breakfast?
I haven't eaten today. No, I don't eat when I podcast because I'm trying to trick myself that I'm in starvation mode, so I need to try hard.
Oh, fasting.
Yeah. Well, if I had eaten a big lunch, I might be extra lazy on the podcast. That's mine. But again, I'm no psychologist.
Yeah, no, neither.
Yeah. Can we stay with the Pacific Islands for a moment?
Sure. Yeah.
Trying to find solutions, trying to help people with change when they ask for it.
Yep.
What are some of the
Well,
positive things.
The solutions have to be theirs. That's something really important, that they have to come up with the solutions, because they'll be the ones implementing them and carrying them forward. One thing that everyone wants to help, and there's a lot of, the great benefit of the UN is that there's a lot of money that moves between those that have benefited from causing problems and those that are suffering from those problems. So there's a great partnership there, and under the Green Climate Fund, we're going to see a lot of that transfer of wealth from those that are doing pretty well out of the current state and those that aren't. But with that money comes a lot of power, and they can be conditional and all that sort of stuff. And it may just be simply like, it needs to be spent on these sorts of things that we've decided are important, or you need to report in these ways. But just by measuring something, you'll influence behaviour, whether or not there's a target against it. It's another one of those weird free economic things. So if you're measuring stuff, chances are you're going to influence how their money's spent. So it's a really tricky one to manage. If they don't lead it, they won't own it, and it won't happen. As far as what that means, like what their leading means is they get it. There's a lot of technical capacity that they can benefit from, and we can help them have that. And it's finding that balance between them shaping that technical capacity that delivers meaning on the ground and delivers value into the future. So, and a lot of that is an adaptive sense. So much of the time you're setting up relationships between technical experts and locals that want to set up an adaptive management strategy so they can keep drawing in expertise as they need it, but they can apply it in locally meaningful ways.
And that's interesting, because I'm trying to push you down, give me concrete examples, and you're saying actually it's right. But see, this is how regular people think. It's like, I want a solution and I want it now, and what
sometimes like in a place, like everything's contextual, That's the tricky thing about us all being together, is that there will always be place, and that's where we need to be compassionate. Like you said, the guy pulling in front of my car, that's a specific. So you got to be cognizant of that all the time. I mean, there are specifics. In some places, they need to know that they're really worried about the health of their reef. They don't have a good understanding of that, but they're aware that there's changes. They're not necessarily sure why, and they want to know why these changes are happening, and how can we keep the fish around. So you're helping them in that sense, helping them monitor and understand their reef.
Is there enough people thinking about this stuff, in your opinion, like the work you're doing?
Don't know. Probably not. I think maybe. I think we're all worried about it, We are. We're all aware of it. I mean, I don't know how you get away with not being aware of climate change anymore. I mean,
it's just what do you do? Or are we doing stuff anyway? Is the push to have more electric, less fossil fuel cars, stop using the plastic bags from the shops? Those are all ways of contributing.
Definitely. I mean, it may seem silly, and there's absolutely no doubt that some actions have more impact than others, hands down. But they all build and contribute to a society and a social reality, a culture, that we shape our values upon. There's a theory called social relations of value, and it reflects, it sort of bounces between people and objects, and the different people and conversations you're a part of, and the objects that you are surrounded by. You'll because you're a human, and you'll adapt, and you'll fit a mold to belong, because we're social. You'll start embodying those values, and then because you're embodying them, your neighbour will start embodying them. So. And what you get is this sort of network of values bouncing around that will take you in a direction. So it may seem like, plastic bags are only a small deal, it's not going to stop climate change. Well, no, it's not going to stop climate change, but it is going to change our values and contribute to us changing our society. So it's really hard to put a good idea, bad idea label on it. It sort of bounces around. It's not going to be a linear, direct line. It's going to be a wobbly wave.
Which is perfect for the podcast, right? Because overwhelmingly, I think we don't speak like this. We try and speak in the 100% known, 100% unknown. But we're in this whole different zone right now, right? Which is more real life. I don't know. Sometimes I do. I got some ideas. Where do you hope things are in, say, 20 years?
So we've got, 12 years. We've got 12 years. That number stuck. 12 years to build an economy we don't recognise today. Well, some of us do, but most of us probably don't. And that's a zero or carbon neutral economy. So in 20 years, we've done it.
True.
That's what I want to see. And that's what it's just on one issue and one thing. but we're going to have bigger challenges because these effects are taking hold, and we are moving around a lot. Global migrations happening, I want to see people, love each other. Listen more to John Lennon.
Yeah, right, man. Like, I love that you take us in any other format. If we're, I don't know, recording an advert or doing a traditional interview, John Lennon never gets raised, but it's probably what we need to talk about more often, right? Because it sounds quite logical. We need to love more, but you start breaking that down.
That's an action.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I read a great definition of it just a couple of months ago. What was it? It's love is the quality of the attention that you pay something, or something to that effect. Yeah, quality of attention. Oh, that's kind of helpful. Yeah.
It is helpful because it also suggests that you may not do it all the time, or you could try a bit harder.
Sure, we could.
Yeah, well, we could all try a bit harder. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, and I just want you to kind of talk me through the first thing that comes into your mind. I've done this with all the guests.
Cool.
It's just like a little, what do you call it? Experiment, not an experiment. Thought.
Experiment?
Yeah, thought experiment. Thanks, bro. Ready?
Yeah, man.
Okay. What's the future?
Do you know the first thing I thought of?
What?
M&Ms. No idea why.
Okay.
It's not what we're going for.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
I don't think the future are M&Ms. Yeah. Why did maybe it was lots of colours?
I know what it is, variety. No, there's a study that they put, and when I say study, it's like, let's quote marks because I'm just a podcaster. I don't really know. 2 bowls of M&Ms, one multicoloured, one single colours.
Okay.
Everyone went for the multicolour.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because of variety.
What was the single colour?
All different single colours.
Ah.
So blues, greens.
I get it.
But when they tested each one, everyone always went for variety.
Rainbows.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I think that's the
future.
answer. M&Ms.
Yeah.
Well done.
Nailed it.
We got there. Anything you want to part the audience with? Places they should go and learn some more interesting things or follow your journey? What's something someone can do today that can just help them get a bit of optimism for tomorrow?
Oh, cool. There is actually quite a talented guy called Alain de Botton who set up what's called the School of Life. So I'd check that out, schooloflife.something. All over YouTube, all that.
Awesome. Rowan Dixon, thanks for joining us, man.
No worries.
How were my questions? All right?
Fantastic.
Did we survive?
We did.
Do you feel exhausted?
I'm energised. I was feeling exhausted. Now I feel great.
Yeah. So, boom, M&Ms, that's the answer. Thanks, man.
No worries.
This episode of the Future Cities podcast is proudly supported by WSP Opus, creating what matters for future generations.